Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. And what is funny about this kind of lighting talks is that they are from totally different points of view, and mine will be about more about business and a little bit about psychology and how we used the cursor for the psychological like product. But first, how to navigate my own presentation?
Yeah, I made it more complicated because it's a second screen.
Wow. Okay. So just push this button.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. So basically, what we are doing, what is the problem we are now using Cursor to solve? I mean, partially because we are in this business for like 20 years or something, and we for many years we are developing the motivational platform. Basically, the idea of the platform is that the people are getting tasks. Basically, the company has some business goal. We are working with large companies, with large sales networks, and so on and so on. So imagine you are buying a mobile phone, and the company that is selling you the mobile phone, they usually has some goal, like sell 20,000 mobile phones and so on and so on. That's boring. But basically, this is the start of our story. And when they want to sell these mobile phones, they need to set the targets for the people. And doing this task requires some behavioral change. Behavioral change means that someone needs to do something totally different, like ask additional question. Sir, do you like the mobile phone? No. Okay. But the question was asked. Yes. So this is the behavior. And basically, from the psychological point of view, if you'd like to introduce the new behavior, majority of you are developers, you are programming machines, but this is also possible to programming human behavior. To program human behavior, it's called conditioning or learning by example. So basically, you can change from a psychological point of view, have two methods for changing human behavior. One is reward schedules. That's simple. That's working for any kind of organism, from simple ones like fishes, dogs, cats, rats, etc., to the humans. So if you give the reward, the people organisms are changing the behavior. This is one stuff. The second stuff is social learning, and this is the most important one because we are the social creatures, and our vision is mainly connected with this diagram, and this is why Cursor comes into the scene, into the place. So this is one thing, but reward schedules, task with points, so-called gamification. We give the people tasks. If they do the task, they are rewarded. There are different schedules, like do something 5 times and you will get the reward. Do something before noon and you will get the reward, and so on and so on. Bonus systems, gamification systems, all this kind of systems work on this kind of mechanism. And the social learning, this is the next slide, and I hope this tweak with arrow works. Okay, the social learning is a little bit more complicated, and this is something we were working on we started to work on it a long time ago, and we're working on different kinds of analytics, and Cursor as a tool, but I think it's not only the Cursor, but the birth of large language models allowed us to make it more in a quicker way, more agile way to develop several models, test different models, and so on and so on. But the basic idea of social learning is, I will refer to it showing you the Cursor, is that if you look at any activity done by humans, large group of humans, population of like 2,000 people of some telecommunication company, those guys that want to sell you mobile phones. Usually, you will have some kind of a distribution. If you are lucky, it's a normal distribution. Sometimes it's moved to the left or to the right. But basically, the idea is that there is a group of people somewhere in this distribution that is the majority. So if it's a normal distribution, so typical product, typical market, and so on, it's close to the normal distribution. I will have a lot of people in the middle of the distribution. Here is the performance, here is the number of people. So we have population, etc., etc. And basically, what is our vision and what works, basically, because we can prove it on data, we are working with universities, we are analyzing this data, and so on, is that majority of the motivational systems are working with only with the best people, because these are bonuses, competitions, and so on and so on. So majority of the systems, the main focus of the companies, of the corporations, is really focused on the best guys. Yeah. So these guys got bonuses, these guys are winning competitions, and so on and so on. But if we look at this kind of chart, it's more rational to work with the majority of the people, because if we will move these guys by a small step forward, we will create the change that is scalable, the change that is interesting from the whole organization point of view. So the idea is to detect this number of people, this amount of people, first observe the performance. This is what our platform is doing. It was not developed by Cursor, unfortunately, because there was no Cursor when we first found it. Then do some kind of orientation. So here we are using the Streamlit, and here we are using the Cursor, plus some kind of a business intelligence. Decide about new tasks. And this is interesting because what does it mean to decide about new tasks? If you look at this chart, as this diagram, you will see that if you would like to move each person one step ahead, we need two things. This goal for each person, so it is personalized. So if someone sold you sold to the customer 2 mobile phones, the next goal probably is 3. But if someone is very good, he should share the knowledge, or she should share the knowledge, the other guys in the company, because there is no next step, basically. But this guy has a knowledge that allows us to move the whole distribution forward. And this decision about new task is a learning algorithm. And again, this is something we are now working heavily with Cursor. And act on the performance. This is the last step. The last step is and the new task to the platform, to this tribal platform. And again, the whole cycle begins from the beginning. And this is something that's called OODA, Observe, Orient, Decide, Act cycles, and was used by US Navy or US Army. Colonel Boyd, he invented it for the dogfight, for the aerial dogfight. Sorry for my pronunciation. First block of our solution is Streamlit. Pavel should know Streamlit because it's currently owned by Snowflake. We started to use it before it was cool, before it was bought by Snowflake. But basically, the idea is that Streamlit allows you to work with the data visualization as with the code. So it's not like Power BI. So it's not that you are filling some kind of forms and you are trying to create some reports and so on and so on. Power BI is also cool, but not in this case. But Streamlit is something that basically, I'm telling you about Streamlit. Who is using the Streamlit? Oh my God! So I need to talk about the Streamlit. So Streamlit is a visualization engine. Okay, Pavel. It's a visualization engine that allows you to create the diagrams or the reports using the code, basically, or the whole user interface using the code. Of course, it can connect to some database, underlying data, and so on, but you can mix the code with the visualization. And it is a very good way to very quickly check, to very quickly verify algorithms, to very quickly enable, test different ideas, and so on and so on. Of course, probably who's working with Jupyter notebooks. Okay, thanks. So it's like the Jupyter notebooks, but much more sophisticated. You can create interactive forms, interactive diagrams, and so on and so on. This is the example. So here we have this is part of our system. Here you have the top improvement opportunities. So we are splitting different groups, the people into the population of employees into different groups. And based on the potential to sell stuff, we are determining which groups has the most potential to buy, total potential impacts to deliver the specified target, to deliver the goal, to provide the company with some value. And what is very funny about it, that it was nearly totally generated with Cursor. Probably you know this, that Cursor is capable of this thing. But what is very interesting for me is that we can use the Cursor plus Streamlit for something that I call the visual storytelling. Visual storytelling means that I have some story in my mind, like user story Szymon told you about, that allows me to show this story to the decision maker in the company, the business. Yeah, so the story is, let's look at the people performance, then looks at the people activity, then find correlations between performance activity, then change potential, and then I will recommend something. If we will go through all these steps, we will have the full story that can be presented to a CEO, CFO of the company, and it is easily understood by this person. Okay, and Cursor and architecture, some tips and tricks, or probably all of you are better than me in the Cursor area. I'm working with a whole team of people, and I'm happy that most of these guys are much more wiser than me. But basically, I'm also working with the data and with the code, which is my hobby. I mean, this is during the day I'm working with these people, and at the night I'm working with our product. So basically, what we found working with the Cursor. The first thing was that Cursor, it is possible to create the ETL, extract, transform, and load with the Cursor. And this was, I think, one of the funniest things ever, because we were using different tools for ETL. And it started one day, and then we moved to the Cursor. And when we started to work with the Cursor and the SQL database, I think it was DuckDB, we've noticed that it was very easy to start to work with the SQL, but at some point, we had to throw away the whole branch of project, because the relations between the data, especially if you have some data warehouse architecture, in our case, it was very simple architecture. It was star architecture. Star architecture is, do you know what is a star architecture for data warehouse? You have the fact table, and you have different dimensions or directories that explain your fact table, your reality, your world. Yeah. So we have, for example, information that some user didn't done something at some date. Yeah. But the users are just identifiers, and you have the dictionary of users. So this is a star, because you have one fact table and you have different data. So Cursor was not capable of handling this, or we were too stupid to do this. Yeah. This is the second hypothesis. But we tried to make it as simple as possible. So we created the ETL solution, a data warehouse and data warehouse architecture based on CS files, comma-separated value files. Probably all of you use these files. And this prototype allows us to very quickly work with the data, because there was no database, so we were working just with pure files, text files, and so on and so on. But what happened next was fantastic. It was something we should have predicted, but we had not predicted. It was the idea that the Cursor itself was able to be the ETL, extract, transform, and load. So if we provided the data from our customers, and this data, the data was, of course, anonymized due to GDPR and so on, it's hard to work with large corporations, but requires some extra diligence. But when we provided, this is the structure for our warehouse. So it's based on files. So you know the data warehousing, you have the raw data, you have process data, and so on and so on and so on. So basically, the cursor was able to understand the structure of this data. I mean, large language model that was Claude, Anthropic Claude was able to understand. Also, we were able to create very quick tests if the data are okay. So this test allows us to very quickly verify the data from the customers. If something is missing, if something is what was missing, what was okay. What was the most impressive thing from my point of view is that we were able to test the logic of the data. For example, once we got the data from one of our customers, there was like 6,000 records and so on and so on. I got the first information from Cursor. The data is probably not okay. In fact, this is the information from large language model. And we ask why? Because either the customer fired several hundreds of people, or there was some change in the organization. And there was a bug that the people were assigned to the wrong teams, and human with this amount of data probably will not be able to detect this on this level. I mean, on the level of just extracting and transforming the data. It probably will be detected later during the reporting and so on and so on. So this is one thing. So Cursor. Cool stuff is that it can be used for testing the data. You can use it also with the data and so on and so on. This is basically the ability of the large language model, but also the possibility of the Cursor to understand the huge context, a lot of files that can be analyzed. So we can analyze your algorithm together with your data. This is something that was probably one of the wow moments in our project. The second thing is that I showed you the Streamlit interface. How we started to work with data visualization and this data storytelling. We were also doing this part of our project. We were also using the Cursor, but we were using the Cursor like in the two windows mode. Like in one window, we had the Cursor. In the second window, we have the running Streamlit application. Because when you update the Streamlit application, there's a mechanism called watchdog. It allows, you can test the application live. So you do not need to restart the application. You can test how the application is being changed live. So this is one thing. And this can be very huge amount of changes. Like you can rework the whole user interface. And it was much more easier to work with Cursor. It was something like that. So I was, when I started to work in IT, it was like 90s or beginning of the 21st century, so 2001 or something like this. So if you look at this reminds me of, time before the Microsoft Windows or Mac OS 6 and so on. But basically, we're able to discuss with the large language model the structure of the screens using some kind of the ASCII art or something like this. So it was not only the ability to generate very quickly the new user interfaces on the go, sometimes with the customer, immediately with the customer, but also it was possible to be one step earlier in the user experience part. I mean, to ask why I want this, why I would like to do this, and so on. So, of course, there's one problem. Szymon mentioned it: over-creativity of the large language models. So, if we were not careful, we got the user interface with the whole amount of features we had not expected, and they were not important for us and for the customer. The last step. Actually, we are working with this setup to test the different machine learning models, because the idea is that we are not only using this running average, this normal distribution to predict what will be the next step. We are trying to really predict what will happen based on the different features. Like in typical machine learning models, you have different features like user performance, but also user activity on the platform, but also how many free days are in the given month, and so on and so on. And we are using ensemble of the models. So we're using several models and we're trying to mix them. This is one of our latest model when the majority of the predicting power is coming from the lightweight gradient boosting methodology model, sorry. And here are the results. And what we are using here, we are here at this moment, we are not using here the Streamlit. At this moment, we are using Jupyter networks. This is something I asked you about. It should be I or Y? Okay, so it's a typo. Yeah, so, and we are trying to verify different hypotheses and so on. The model, of course, is better and better with the next batch of data. And the last thing, we are still, of course, Szymon told you about it, so I would not. Live documentation and so on and so on. We are doing a lot of models, parameterization, features. You need to document it. So we are working live documentation based on markdowns, but also Jupyter synchronization. Oh, here is right. But basically, what we would like to add is psychology and interpretation. So we have some numerical model that tells us whether a specific amount of reward will create the change, or some interaction between the people will create the change. So the people will change something change in the organization. We can foresee where the people are burning out, where the stress is too much. Target is too high for the people and they are not doing target, but also they are losing their activity. So we are using, this is another part of the model. I do not have a slide here. If you would like to talk about it, we can talk about it during the next part of this of today's meetup. So we have the idea, we have this all of this data in form of the numeric optimization model. And we've noticed that when we provide the large language model with data for the grounding and some basic knowledge about what patterns in the data may be, may cause, or etc., etc. So what are the patterns in the data and what effect they might cause in the future, and so on and so on. So we can create something like a autonomous coach. And we started to talk about it as a cursor for psychology. It happened with one of the experiments when we put a lot of MD files, markdown files with different psychological theories, references to the data and the real data, and the algorithm basically to the cursor. Yeah. So, and when we tested this against the psychologists, the people who work with us, it was extremely accurate. So this is, but of course, the very important thing is that we are starting from the optimization model, not just with LLM and so on and so on. So we have the data that we can explain. So probably the next step is to provide the explanation of the data, and this is our challenge. This is our challenge for us for now. Sorry. Okay, I'm very aware of that. I just scratched the surface of this project because the first chat with LLM through the cursor was like mine chat, not my team. My team was earlier, was like 6 months ago. So we had plenty of stuff, plenty of chats with the LLM. Etc., etc. But this is basically it. This is something I would like to share with you. I mean that we can use the cursor not only as the code, but also as some kind of development hub. And especially if you are working with scientific data, you can work with the data, you can work with the explanation of the data, and you can work with the documentation of the data. So it's much more than just coding. It's some kind of extension to a typical scientific environment like Jupyter notebooks, etc. So of course, this is not only tool like that, but this is the tool we are using actually. Okay, so that's all from my side. If you have any questions, it's a good moment now to ask those questions. I do not have any rewards for the questions. Yes.
From psychology, as far as I know, in behavioral economics,
Yes.
it's often, or lately, 2 years ago or something like that, that to go into details, if you would like to be a good man as a AI developer, you should implement a decalogue from the Old Testament into your guide governance, yes, step. And it resolves all the problems because it is well understood for Muslims, for Hindi, not only for Christians. We will not cruel, nie pokłócimy się in this way.
Okay, few things. Basically, what we are doing here. I start from the Decalogue because it's yeah, but I can show you the solution. Not the solution for the Decalogue because it's the solution is well known. But basically, we implemented the context. We implemented the chat based on MCP and several tools and so on. So the main chat is a Cloud Anthropic, basically desktop. Anthropic desktop. It can be moved to the Cursor, but basically and Cloud Code. And we implemented the methodology, psychological methodology that is called, based on something is called the chimp paradox. I don't know if someone heard about chimp paradox. Chimp paradox is that everyone in our brain, we have like two natures. One nature is chimp, the monkey. So the monkey wants something now. It's 5 times stronger than our human part. So that's why we are emotional, we react very nervously to if someone would like to take us, or we feel that someone would like to take something from us, and so on. So the second part is human part. So this is the best part. The part when we are thinking about something. It's connected to the behavioral economics because it's connected to the System 1 and System 2 of Daniel Kahneman. Daniel Kahneman is a Nobel Prize laureate, and he actually got the Nobel in behavior. In very much something very similar here. It's System 1, System 2, behavior, attention, the capacity theory of attention, and so on and so on. So we can talk about it later. But basically, I have the prototype of this cloud based system on my devices. But basically, when we started to do some routines in Peter's methodology, have morning routine, evening routine, and so on, we decided there is some need for some grounding for choosing the right way, and we use the Bible for that. Actually, and you can watch. I think this is we very quickly changed the battleground from selling mobile phones. Very simple task. Like you are supposed to do the targets. You are working for the corporation. You're selling stuff. To 10 years of your work in some other area, that requires your. That's my fault because I started to talk about different projects. Yes, but basically, we are talking here about very simple target setting, target validation, and so on framework. Yes, so we are talking here about simple goals. We are working for retail stores, for telecommunication companies to help people give the rewards, and the rewards should be fair. The rewards should be motivating, and they should be economically wise So we should have something like a Nash equilibrium here all the time. Yeah. So everyone should be okay with the reward. I'm sorry, I'm flattening this totally out, but I do not have time for explanation.
Let's give a chance for another one question, and maybe we do a small bio break because it's hard to sit so long in a chair, right? But another question, another. Huh? This one doesn't work, so that's why I stole it. Another question to Wojciech. Last one.
How do you think about evaluation of this new solution you're building with MCPs and LLMs? What's your approach to validating in general how the system works? What criteria do you use? How you build this system?
Basically, we are evaluating mainly the LLM here. I mean, the cursor is used for developing the code, but what we are evaluating mainly is this lightweight gradient boosting plus some other methods. So that's pretty easy. So we are forecasting some results, some number of behaviors, and next month we are checking if it's working. And this was the yes, this was the slide here. So we have this mean absolute error, yeah, and the error distribution. So if in majority of the cases we are, I mean, the error actually it's the error is 6.7% in predicting the behaviors, but they are simple behaviors like if someone will sell the mobile phone or someone sell the insurance and so on. So that's easy. We are not evaluating LLM. We are evaluating the optimization algorithm that, of course, needs evaluations, and these evaluations are done very frequently. Once a month.